Hey everybody, as you're preparing for your quiz on colonization, here's a quick video to walk you through the study guide and help you prepare a little bit. So remember that on this quiz, it will be an open-ended three-part written response that answers three questions that you see on the study guide. And these relate to our three essential questions about colonization. So hopefully this can walk you through each of those questions and things that you can do to prepare as you answer these three. So, the first question is, what drove European nations to fund or pay for exploration? What did these nations hope to gain, and how did they do it? The possible topics that you can include, this comes from our understanding of exploration. So we talked about the three G's, gold, God, and glory, and how those motivated nations like Spain and Portugal and ultimately England as well. That also motivated individuals like Christopher Columbus. So those nations wanted gold, glory, and God, and the way that they got it through things like the explorations of Christopher Columbus, which led to the Columbian exchange of goods between the New World and the Old World. The Treaty of Tordesillas was a way that Spain and Portugal divided the globe, and new conquests would be given to one nation or the other based upon its position in that line. It also led to conflict and cooperation with natives. So we talked about the treatment of Native Americans that the Spanish explorers encountered. We also talked about how exploration led to the Atlantic slave trade. And we talked about how some of those explorations into North America, like Roanoke, how those did lead to some conflict and cooperation with natives there as well. So for this answer, if you're able to identify and explain two or more things that European nations were hoping to find and how they found or gained those things, then you should be all set for this particular answer. Our second one is different. It sounds somewhat similar, but this one is focused on the next period, which is when colonies are actually being built in the New World. The first one is about exploration, which comes first. Now, this is about colonizing. So the second question is, what motivated groups and individuals to establish colonies in the New World? And here's where we talked about Roanoke and Jamestown. We talked about Massachusetts Bay and Plymouth, the Pilgrims and Puritans. We talked about the Virginia Company. We also talked about some specific individuals like John White and John Smith and John Rolfe, all those guys named John, that had to do with the first settlements in the New World. So Roanoke and Jamestown eventually, and their desire for finding gold, ultimately with Jamestown. We also talked about how money, power, and beliefs were major sources of motivation for those groups and individuals. Some were looking for religious freedom, some were trying to get rich, some wanted power, they wanted land or authority. So for this one, if you can explain three or more groups or individuals and what motivated them to establish colonies in the New World, then you'll be all set for the second. Finally, our third question on the colonization quiz: how did physical location create economic and social differences between the New England, Middle, and Southern colonies? For this one, we need to think about the map maker activity, where you shaded in three different colonial regions. You labeled what those regions turned into, those large colonies like Virginia or South Carolina or Pennsylvania. And then on this study guide, we have a table to help you kind of organize your thoughts a little bit. So the New England colonies, the Middle colonies, and the Southern colonies. In these boxes, you can kind of sort through on your study guide, what was the land and climate like in that region? What was the economy like? So how did they make money? And what groups of people lived there? What was the society made up of? And for this one, we're focusing on what are the differences between these three regions because of their geography. If you're able to identify each of the three colonial regions and explain how their geography led to differences between them, then you're all set for this one. So hopefully, after looking through this study guide, after writing down some answers on this study guide, you'll be prepared to write out 3 written responses on your colonization quiz to help you demonstrate your knowledge of colonization. Hope this helps.